Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the RayZor show. I don't know what to call it. I've been doing these throughout the year, and I still have no name for whatever this is, and the RayZor show sounds stupid. So just welcome. This is kind of a little round table, or a triangle, I guess. No reach arounds allowed. We're talking Snyder Cut tonight. Tonight I've got, obviously the Joker's with us, a.k.a. Bryan from the Comic Breakdown. Say hi to everybody.
What's going on, everybody? I am Bryan from Comic Breakdown. I do comic book reviews on YouTube, covering everything from Marvel Comics, Indie Comics, DC Comics, anything comics related. We're covering it.
Yeah, he's actually been able to review all of our comics with Unparalleled, haven't you?
Yep, every one of them so far.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, I got my Operation Eclipse shirt on right now.
Yes, spread the word. Get everybody to wear that shirt. Read that comic. Hopefully, Operation Eclipse #2 is coming soon. I just was informed that the last page will be sent to me. It's 23 pages actually. Will be sent to me tomorrow or today or something soon. Hopefully. We can get that in the can so 3 can come out. Anyway, Seth is with us tonight. Seth?
Hello, everyone.
Are you still doing that thing I mentioned before, the questionable tastes?
It's been off and on.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's I'm not putting any effort into it, so it's just kind of when we can, we jump on and shoot the shit, and that's about it. It's not going to grow or anything.
Yeah. It's all for fun, right, man? Whatever keeps you sane.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you don't know Seth from he does the Horror Syndicate Discourse with me and writes articles for the Horror Syndicate as well.
Nice.
Yeah, the Horror Syndicate is a horror place for horrors. I'm just joking. Anyway, if you hit the subscribe button, share the video, that would be great. Anybody who comes in, we'd love it if you'd ask us questions, tell you what you think of the movie, tell us what you think of the movie. We don't want to tell you what you think of the movie. That makes no sense. Let's get into it. Where do you guys want to begin with this?
Oh man. So let's just jump into the Flash. I want to talk about the Flash. I've been waiting to talk about the Flash.
I saw something that you posted about they did My Boy Right or something like that. Is that the Flash?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Before we even go anywhere with that, let's do this. Spoilers. There will be spoilers for sure. Everybody's cool with that, right? If you haven't seen it by now, I mean, everybody I know just about watched it yesterday. So there is a spoiler warning in effect, and I will keep that at the top of the page. So anybody who watches this, they're warned constantly. So here we go. Let's talk about the Flash. Seth, you ready to talk about the Flash?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. So first off, Ezra Miller, I love him as an actor. I think what was the movie? I'm pretty sure it was a horror movie. It was We Need to Talk About Kevin, I believe it was. Or something of that nature, but it's a amazingly phenomenal movie where he ends up being a school shooter. But Ezra Miller, he does quirky and crazy and psychotic really, really well. So I really do appreciate him in that regards. Him as the Flash, I have not been a big fan of. I don't like this kind of weird, kind of like I've never been laid. I've never talked to a girl kind of Barry Allen, which is not something I'm familiar with in any regards to Barry Allen. Outside of that, I thoroughly enjoyed all of his real spotlights. We got to see him, we got to see him traverse time. We got to see him really manipulating his powers and using his abilities to an extent that the original Justice League just did not give us. Mm-hmm. And I almost want to say this movie was more about Cyborg and the Flash than anything else.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. I agree. I mean, they were a smaller part in the Whedon cut or whatever we're going to call that. dumpster. I guess that's
Yeah.
it's nothing anymore. I doubt I'll ever watch that again, other than last night when I skimmed through it. I was very happy to see. I wasn't a fan of the casting of Ezra. It's he doesn't look the part or whatever. That's what it really was. And I've never seen anything except for I think Californication. He was in a couple episodes of that. But he was way better, less jokey, no Pet Cemetery jokes. I liked it. I liked what he did, and in that moment at the end when it happened to him twice, where he was just late, and the second time he because when the cube it hits the water or hits the whatever that shit is, where Superman was. He almost missed it, but as he was running, he was able to reverse time and bring it back up so he could touch it right on time. Which, why would you cut that from the original cut?
It's such a it's what 10 seconds that extra that you could add into it.
I don't know if it was even that long, but I thought it was great. Not as odd as the original Whedon cut. What about you, Seth? How are you feeling?
Well, I like Ezra Miller as an actor, and I think he does well with this quirky version of Barry Allen.
Yeah.
But to me, I kind of grew up with knowing Barry Allen as a little bit more serious, and Wally West was the more jokey Flash. Yeah. So it's kind of like they took both of those characters and kind of blended them together. It's a weird kind of like mismatch of those characters, but he was definitely a lot better in this Zack Snyder cut, especially getting rid of that line about how he just pushes people away. They kind of made him seem more. He was more up for what's going on. He was less scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, there was what's up, bro? What's up, Kurt? There's a couple great lines about him not breaking that one rule that I really liked. And he's like, I got to break this rule this one time. And he did it twice, but still, it was for good reason, both of them.
Yep.
Yeah. So we definitely know that, Barry Allen at this point has an understanding of what time could do. I don't know if they're going to try to fit Flashpoint into that ever with the Snyder Cut, which I doubt. It really seems like Snyder Cut's building up for more of a Superman Batman standoff type situation.
Yeah, we're gonna, that's something I want to definitely get into. I want to talk about the meat of the movie, but I definitely want to get into the possible future because we are getting a Flash movie next year. And
yes,
I mean, there's that really could be a huge thing for all of the DCU. Because there are things I'd like to change, and there are things that I like the way they are, But we'll get into that for sure. But I agree that there's, this whole universe was set up for Batman and Superman in the first place. I mean, the second movie was BVS, and Batman and Superman are kind of sprinkled throughout. With Shazam, you see the Batarang and Superman's in the end, and even in Suicide Squad, they talk about Superman dying, and then you've got Batman in the Suicide Squad movie twice. I'm loving this movie. Just there were a lot of moments for me that made me so happy because that 2017 movie, and I don't know how you guys felt about it, but for me, I kind of I took it for what it was. It's like, okay, at least we got something, I wasn't very happy with what they did with it, but I was like, we got a Justice League movie. That's about how I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and it's the worst. It probably was always the worst one. I don't know.
It wasn't my Justice League wasn't my favorite of definitely all the DC films, but I appreciate it because I finally got to see the Flash in something on a theatrical scale.
Yeah.
So I was happy in that regards. The Flash movie, I've been literally waiting after delay, before even COVID happened. The Flash movie has been delayed hundreds of times. So at this point, it's just I'm ready for the Flash movie, but I'm happy that Justice League gave me a little bit something. And the Snyder Cut just gives you a little bit more. You know what I mean? We have that Flash movie coming out. So this is a perfect setup for the Flash movie to come out, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, and with that ending, I think it could help the Flash movie. Like if they want to make, because I don't know if we're we're gonna see any more Zack Snyder stuff. We know who Scott Snyder is, of course. But I don't know if we're going to see any more of his stuff. But this still can bleed over into the Flash. I mean, it did mess up Aquaman a little bit if it is going to be the canon movie, because Mira said that her parents died, and her dad wasn't dead in Aquaman. So yeah, hopefully moving forward, I don't know. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm curious to see how far along they've come into the Flash, Jesus. But real fast, I'm going to put something up that you shared earlier on Facebook. So like in the first 30 minutes for me, by the time we see the Wonder Woman, the re-edit of her saving the kids and all those people with the terrorists and stuff, I looked at that scene and it was way more action, way more going on. It showed her more as a hero and as a symbol of, and I'm like, I was like, why did they cut this apart? Like who at DC or Marvel, Warner thought this was a good idea, and I was maybe 60 minutes into the movie because that scene on Themyscira where the Amazons were fighting Steppenwolf and the parademons. It's that, like, I had so many 300 feels from that, from Zack Snyder's 300, and I'm like, I kept thinking to myself, like, Warner Brothers, you just lost billions, not millions, probably billions of dollars by not letting Zack finish this movie. What I wanted to share was this. The DC films that you shared this earlier, and this was what they were proposing originally. I looked at it, I was like, oh my god, I forgot about this, because I think everything that happened after Batman vs Superman was a reaction to the way it was received, and they tore all of this down because we were supposed to get a Flash movie, we were supposed to get the Justice League Part 2 and 3 and Cyborg and Green Lantern Corps, and it sucks that we didn't get any of this. Well, we got Shazam and Aquaman, but
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it was Warner Brothers reacting to how people reacted to Batman vs Superman, and they kind of took advantage of the fact that Zack Snyder had to step away because of his family tragedy to try to reform the movie and reform the DC universe to be something more like Marvel. So they were like, it really seemed like they were trying to go through and they were trying to take out the intense bits and the dark bits and trying to sprinkle more of a family-friendly superhero tale.
Mistake,
and I really don't know why they're doing that. Like, you do dark and gritty great. Just keep doing dark and gritty. Like, you do it so good. Stop trying to be Marvel. You're appealing to a whole different older audience that is absolutely loving them. We're seeing this. Like, I have seen maybe 1 or 2 people total that have not liked the Snyder cut, and it's just, usually they're just very pretentious individuals to begin with, so it's hard to please some people.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. And that goes back to Batman vs Superman. There's a lot of people who don't understand the nuance of that movie and all the layers of the storytelling and of what's going on. We're in sort of like a society where everything has to be instant, and so everyone wants everything spelled out for them. While Batman vs Superman is actually a really brilliant movie with how it layered in Lex Luthor's big plan. And it's just a shame that movie gets shit on the way it does, because it's a great movie.
Still my favorite of the DC movie. I mean, I love Justice League, the Snyder cut for sure, but BVS is still my favorite. I know, and then Joe Ridgely from a lot of things. Joe, I don't even know what you're doing anymore. A lot of stuff. This is a good dude, though. He says the Martha thing still bothers him from BVS. I immediately when that happened, I was like, this is going to piss people off. People are going to talk shit about this. But maybe my wife looked at me. She's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I know they both, I knew, they both had a mom named Martha, and it's funny whenever at the beginning of the movie, whenever Jeffrey Dean Morgan or Thomas Wayne. He goes, Martha. I was like, oh shit, is that going to mean something later? And sure enough, it did. And I'm fine with it. I don't really care. That doesn't take away from the rest of the movie for BVS for me. I mean, there's a lot of great Batman stuff that happens. There's a lot of good Superman stuff. Not enough in my opinion, but some really cool Superman stuff. And then I didn't like Jesse Eisenberg, but I did like him at the end of the Snyder cut. So yeah, I want to see Man of Steel 2. Like, there's so much I want to see now. Like, in my head, after I was done, I started making a list of all the stuff. I was like, come on, Cyborg movie. Can't wait for the Flash movie because that's happening. But anyway, let's talk about some of the other things that we liked about the movie because let's see what Alex says first. I thought it was cool because that's true. It also humanized Superman a little bit. He has a
right. Yeah, and that's the whole thing too. Is that's sort of the thing that kind of broke Bruce Wayne out of his sort of because Bruce Wayne he lost his way by that point by the time that whole movie even started, and that was kind of the thing that kind of opened his eyes a little bit. And it is a little weird that Cal calls Martha instead of mom. In that moment where he could have easily said, "You're letting them kill my mom," because technically she is his mom, because she raised him. So It's a little weird that way, yeah.
But maybe he somehow knew Bruce's mom was Martha, and that got him. I don't know. Well, he knew it was Bruce Wayne, so maybe he before the thing he read up on who Bruce Wayne was. And yes, the Jolly Rancher scene is the cringiest thing I've ever seen on screen. So, although Seth, if we ever get to meet face to face, we're gonna reenact that, and you get to be the guy that gets a Jolly Rancher in his mouth. It's cherry.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
Oh, you will be.
I'm not a Jolly Rancher guy.
Would never drink Zima. You drop his Jolly Rancher in the Zima and go. Anyway, so how about Cyborg? We want to talk about Cyborg a little bit.
Definitely.
Cyborg.
I was following a lot of his drama going on with Zack Snyder. Yeah. So it kind of put a sour taste in my mouth in that regard. But outside of that, I really think, like I was saying earlier, I really felt like this was a Cyborg, the Flash story. This was the buildup to give us those next stories. And, this could easily stand alone if you had named it Cyborg. Because we saw him really learning his abilities, learning his powers. The character had a traumatic loss. His father died, and then he comes back and separates the mother boxes. So essentially, this was a Cyborg movie with the Justice League helping him out.
Yeah.
So all in all, I have to say his portrayal of Cyborg was really well. I don't really have any complaints. I really did enjoy his version of Cyborg and what Zack Snyder was trying to convey to us. And you really did feel the emotion when he lost his father and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, there is a Cyborg origin movie in there. I mean, there's the scenes where he's learning about being inside the internet essentially and learning to fly, and the voiceover from Joe Morton, his father, Miles Bennett Tyson from Terminator 2. The guy just knows how to build machines. But yeah, I agree. And is it me, or would you like to see a Cyborg Flash movie where they're in the same movie together? I think those two would make a fun team. How do you feel about Cyborg Seth? Cyborg Seth. Oh,
there we go.
There we go.
I thought he was great in this movie, and I guess I can kind of understand where Ray Fisher was pissed off at Joss Whedon for cutting out pretty much 80% of Cyborg material. He was just almost like a background character in the theatrical cut. And here there was so much more to him, and like Bryan said, there was just so much more emotion and heart to his story, and you felt something with it, and it was great seeing his story kind of unfold within this story.
Yeah, I really liked pretty much everything we got, because going in, they were talking about Cyborg is the heart and soul of this movie, and I'm like, I got to see this. And there's some touching moments in the movie, especially with his origin story with his mom and inside the car and everything like that. And we were kind of taken aback a little bit towards the end when he's like inside the mother boxes, I guess is what it was.
Yeah.
And you see his mom and dad are like, oh, and they're like, oh shit, I think I know what this is. But like, I thought that was a very powerful scene for him. You know, it's so good, man. I really, really hope that he gets his own movie. I really do. Because I mean, honestly, when they said Cyborg was going to be in this movie, and when they put him in the New 52 Justice League, I was like, but he's a Teen Titan, you know, like he's always a Teen Titan, you know.
Yeah.
And I wasn't into it, but then they put him in Justice League and the New 52, and I was like, okay, I see why they're doing this. And then further later on down the line, they put Grid, you know, the Injustice League with what was that story called? I can't remember. It was you know, all the villains from Earth 2 or whatever it was back then. You know, with Ultraman.
Forever Evil.
Yeah, Forever Evil. That was really cool. So you get to see Grid, which is a really cool character. And plus, in this, he's a cyborg, like a cyber god. Really, he can do anything. Oh, one of the most touching moments was that watching that lady go through the struggles, and he just I'm gonna give her $100,000. Changed her fucking life.
Yeah, just...
you know? Yeah, that was awesome. I thought that was great. You know, I mean, then you see on the flip side, he walks away after smiling, knowing that he just changed her life, and he's walking by these two people that kind of look, you know, move away from him because he's a freak, I guess. You know, they're like, oh, he looks different, which really kind of bothered me. But I was like, yeah, that just goes to show what he, you know, thinks is kind of true. He's a monster for what you know from the exterior, but. Yeah, he had a great arc, though. A really great arc. All right. We're just gonna break it down character by character. So let's talk about Aquaman. Because I thought he was better in this too. There are some really iconic moments with him, like standing on the ship to save that guy. I know you want to see him swim naked, but
So, but that was my biggest thing is every time he would go to jump in the water, he would take his t-shirt off, but leave his jeans on, like denim jeans swimming. I know that's not easy to do. So I didn't understand the principle. I understand the sex appeal. Like they just want everybody to see him take his shirt off and then jump in the water. It was just completely illogical to me in those scenes. Like they definitely take like 5 or 6 seconds and like zoom in on him taking his shirt off and jumping in the water. But honestly, outside of that, it was really good. I thought they were honestly going to do more to Atlantis. I thought that we were going to get a little bit more backstory to Atlantis than we actually did. But I'm not mad about it. We already got an Aquaman movie, so there wasn't a whole lot of need to like throw a whole bunch of info into this about Aquaman.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't show Atlantis because it could have messed up I'm sure James Wan's vision versus Zack Snyder's could be different. I mean, he did the air bubbles, and Mira now has an English accent, which I prefer. I totally prefer because it shows her more like royalty versus, you know, the son of two worlds. You know, I really like that. I wish they could go back and fix that. I don't think she's coming back for the next one.
I don't think so either.
I've heard she's been recast. It's a rumor, but by what's her name from Game of Thrones? Amelia
Clark.
Amelia Clark, yeah.
And you know what? Yes, please. She's great. I think she's great. But yeah, I liked that they showed Volko too. Willem Dafoe, who should be the Joker, but you know, whatever. I was glad to see him too, and then they said that this is his mother's trident. You know, I thought that was pretty cool too because you don't find that out until Aquaman. Because I remember that was one of the things early on was like, why is that he not using a trident? That's got 5, you know, whatever's. What about you, Seth? We got a good question first. Let's do this. Help me understand the girl smelling his sweater. We'll just keep that on the screen. That's a great question because I have no clue what that was about. That whole singing scene was odd to me. It reminded, and I mentioned it last night when I was talking to Vince. It reminded me of that scene in the Two Towers, the Lord of the Rings movie, when they buried Theodred and Eowyn started singing that Bella Quair. I don't know the whole thing, but I remember watching it for the first time, and then they bury him. And all of a sudden, she belts out this. I'm like, what the fuck? Why? And then they did this, and I don't know. Smelling the sweater was just because, I mean, it's Jason Momoa. That probably wasn't even scripted. She's like, this is Jason Momoa's.
Yeah, they probably just accidentally caught that filming.
Zack Snyder's like, I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it in there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't quite understand it either. Like, it seemed like that part of that scene could have been easily cut, but I don't know if maybe they're trying to show like how people are kind of reacting to Aquaman as sort of
How
like a
important
god.
he is. Yeah.
You know, sort of like, you know, how people look up to Superman and are inspired by Superman, that these people were or look up and are inspired by Aquaman. Maybe they worship him, you know,
Yeah,
because of
it
what he
seems like it,
does. You know, but the context isn't there to really justify saying that. It's just theory, you know.
Right.
That's the same feeling I got from it. I felt like, this is a small village that they've already said, when the winter comes, they don't get a lot of fish. So he's a guy that, brings in fish, does supernatural ability. So obviously these individuals see him as a god and a deity of some kind of sort. So for me, that wasn't too outlandish. The sniffing the sweater thing was a bit odd, but everybody's got their kinks, I guess. Can't kink shame these days.
I wouldn't kink shame her anyway. She had a beautiful voice. But yeah, that was odd. But what do you think about Aquaman overall? So, because he was expanded a little bit too. And by the way, I love seeing him surfing on a fucking parademon. That was in both cuts, but this time he tore the whole building apart. But I thought it was. I love seeing that, and I love Jason Momoa's attitude, and I love the. I've been doing this for 20 years in Gotham. Oh, that shithole. I love that. Let me put that in there because I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think overall?
Aquaman, I didn't really see too big of a difference between both cuts. There's a couple of additional scenes and stuff, but ultimately his character was kind of the same in his attitude. It's kind of cool that because like in the theatrical cut, I think he just shows up with a trident or his mother's trident or whatever, and it's kind of cool to see where he kind of finally gets it. He finally takes it after being sort of begged by Valgo for a while to take on the mantle. So, but other than that, Aquaman, like I really like the casting. I really like the character in these movies. But as far as this movie, probably one of the least impressive.
Okay, yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that they did differently, like when the water starts coming from Gotham Harbor in, and you can kind of see it in there. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, not too different. There's a few things that are changed, but yeah, I don't know. I really liked his character in this, and then in the Aquaman movie, which is I think a really good movie overall.
Yeah,
I think it's fairly rated. I think it is.
Yeah, definitely fairly rated.
Martian Manhunter. He didn't get much play, but it was. Did we expect? I know the thing that bothers me about this cut is over the last 4 years, Zack Snyder did talk about what was going to happen in his movie. Like I knew Steppenwolf was going to get his head chopped because Zack said that at some point. I'm like, the question was, is he going to keep it in there? He did, thank God. But like he also mentioned the Martian Manhunter. I saw the storyboards at some point that wound up online but it still caught me off guard because I kind of forgot about it. Like when Martha goes to talk to, spoiler alert, it's on the corner. When Martha goes to talk to Lois, and tells her that the world needs Lois Lane or whatever, and then her eyes glow and in full glory, and I love the way he looked. And we knew, General Swanwick was going to be Martian Manhunter, but man, he looked fan-fucking-tastic. It's my daughter's favorite Justice League member, so she was really, really excited. And so, and in the end, of course, as well, where Ben Affleck looked like he aged 4 years. Because I think that was shot after the fact.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. He still would look good as Batman, but what'd you guys think seeing Martian Manhunter finally? John Jones, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely loved seeing Martian Manhunter in there. I really tried to avoid everything that came to the the message boards and stuff of that nature. So I didn't really know what to expect or exactly what capacity, if any, it was going to be in here. One of the things I was really looking forward to was a Green Lantern, which we'll talk about more here in a little while. But Martian Manhunter was an awesome little throw in there. And that ending really makes you feel like, Zack Snyder really does want to continue the Snyderverse, because, why would you add that in there to talk about, Martian Manhunter coming down and saying, all right, I'm going to feel, take some kind of responsibility on this planet, and I'm going to help you guys out from time to time. So that really, for me, it points to something he wants to build it later on. And Martian Manhunter's never been one of my favorite individuals. But as I've gotten more into comics and so on and so forth in the YouTube channel, I've really have gotten an appreciation for him, and his lore alone is just absolutely amazing. And I would love to see a Martian Manhunter movie where he comes to Earth.
It would be, from the thing is, like, over the last maybe 10 or 11, even since the new 52, they haven't really represented Martian Manhunter as well as they used to, because I remember reading the Grant Morrison run of Justice League years, and back in the 90s, and he was everywhere. He was always there, and they've kind of taken a back seat with him. Martian Manhunter didn't look much better than Supergirl. I liked his look in Supergirl, even though that show is lame as fuck. But
it is. It's horrible.
It's boring. I tried so hard for 2.5 seasons. I was like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this. It was like I really wanted to like it, but it's just boring. Seth, what about Martian Manhunter for you? Do you even like him? You don't even like him.
I like him, and I kind of knew that he was going to be in this one because I did, read a while back where Zack Snyder's pretty much confirmed that General Swanwick was a Martian Manhunter. But when that scene happened, I did not expect it whatsoever. So one thing I was curious about with the last trailers, they had that shot of Martha with her eyes red, and I was like, what does that mean? It didn't even click with me.
No, me either.
So when that scene happened, and then it turned out to be him, I was like, that's fucking awesome. Like I didn't expect that whatsoever. It was a total surprise, because it was like something where it wasn't really in the trailer at all. Like you never.
Thank God.
Well, exactly. It was like the one thing that they kept like a surprise for people. Like they didn't even like reveal his look for the movie, So like it was a really cool scene, and it was great.
Yeah, I think they learned from Doomsday and Wonder Woman from BVS not to put too much shit in the trailer, because the Doomsday reveal in the trailer and seeing Wonder Woman in the trailer is like, come on, you're giving away all the fun, Hi, Seth. Joe says he wanted more Green Lantern Corps. We did get 2 Green Lantern in the movie.
We did. So, did you get 2 Green Lanterns, just not lanterns we were expecting to see?
No. Well, who were we expecting? I heard someone say Zack Snyder wanted to get Ryan Reynolds in there as Hal.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will happen, but Ryan Reynolds, I don't know if you guys pay attention to the goings on Twitter sometimes, but Ryan Reynolds congratulated Zack, and he also said that the extended cut of Green Lantern makes it not look as bad as he thought it did. I don't know what that means, but could Ryan Reynolds be willing to come back? Because I don't mind the Green Lantern movie personally. I don't think it's terrible. That actually could have been the fucking starting point for all of this. If you think, Seth, we talked about that a little bit, but I agree with Joe. I definitely was hoping we'd see Kilowog, and who was the other one? I know Kilowog was one of them.
Kilowog was one, and the Green Lantern that was fighting with Zeus in them. He was an old Green Lantern from like Green Lantern issue number 19, and it was like Talon Gur or something like that. I can't remember.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, but like I don't know if this is any truth to it, but that scene with Bruce at the end with Martian Manhunter, there's supposed to be a scene like that with Green Lantern. Green Lantern showing up, but it was 2 of them, and one of them was Kilowog. But I don't remember if it was Hal Jordan or John Stewart or Kyle Rayner or whoever. I don't know who it could have been, but I mean, Kilowog wouldn't really make sense. It makes sense for it to be, Sector 2814 Green Lantern, which could be Abin Sur. It could have been just about it.
And honestly, that's who I expected. I expected maybe even Abin Sur to show up, and then cool. We get a Green Lantern later on. Honestly, I don't even care what lantern they pick either. I just think, with something as big as what's going on Earth with the mother boxes, essentially sending off their energy signal into the universe, you would think that the Guardians, would at least send a lantern to investigate what the hell's going on down there. But that's my takeaway from it. Not seeing a lantern was a little bit disappointing. Hopefully, if Snyder does continue on, he introduces lanterns later on, because you gotta, unless they want to just try to do Martian Manhunter in the spot of Green Lantern, which we could definitely see that as well.
But the Justice League are interchangeable, really. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Martian Manhunter's a founding member and everything, but like, who's not? Cyborg. He's not one of the founding members. So, no, Jesus. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But personally, I would like, if I was going to pick a Green Lantern, to be Guy Gardner. He's my favorite. It'll never be him. I would, Kyle Rayner would be cool, and have him play Ion at some point. I think that'd be great. And, I love the Green Lantern Corps, especially when Jeff Johns, even though he's kind of a prick, he did that run from Rebirth on through. I guess he was into the new 52, but yeah, Green Lantern would be cool. I want to see more Green Lantern. I was very happy with the movie, not like extremely happy, but yeah. So let's move on to another character that I think got a lot more justice.
Yes.
Right.
So drastically different.
Yeah, he was very vulnerable in this version. Am I wrong?
Yes. He was trying to get on his knees for Darkseid the whole movie, just trying to get in his good graces.
Yeah, that's all it was about, And I don't think everybody realized how much Darkseid was like he's a god. He is,
Yeah.
Like how powerful he actually is. I mean, everybody wanted to do everything for him. Where'd my phone? Sorry, I just got a message. Go ahead, talk about Darkseid.
You're good. No, I was actually, talking about Darkseid, seeing the little flashbacks that Cyborg had seen going through this, seeing his Omega beams while he was in Atlantis was absolutely phenomenal to see. Like, I'm so glad that they gave us just that little bit of him using his Omega beams, because I can't think of a better way to make sure that you represent Darkseid than having the Omega beams used, even if it's a hypothetical usage of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was great. They showed that in the trailer. I'm like, when is he doing that? And I didn't think about
flashbacks or scenarios.
Did you notice that when Steppenwolf actually saw Darkseid for the first time, like in the movie, all his armor came off of him? Like, that had to be like a showing.
It dropped quick.
Yeah. Zeus reminded me of 300. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I saw quite a few Spartan kicks in there. I think Zeus even did a Spartan kick.
Superman did one.
Yeah.
Superman did one on I like, my son goes, does Superman ever kick anybody? I was like, no, not really. Yeah. I thought that was great. Yeah, but overall, I mean, one thing I mentioned before about Steppenwolf was he was way more terrifying looking, and that scene that with the Amazons, he was so much more powerful, and I loved his armor and like especially how when he had all those arrows on him and he just snapped them off. I thought that was so cool.
Now remind me. In the first in the first Justice League, the Whedon cut, did the whole temple fall into the water? I can't remember if it did or not. No, okay, so that was a new addition to it, and I saw that and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is new, and I absolutely love the idea of them not just closing it off, but they're dropping this bitch into the water and they're going to keep it down there. I think that's more realistic for the goal of what the purpose of taking all the pillars out really is for. Like, that's a last case scenario. You want that to go to the bottom of the ocean as best possible.
Yeah, not just to close the doors. He's going to get out if you just close the doors. No matter how many doors there are. Matter of fact, in the Whedon cut, he cuts an X in a wall,
and break through the wall.
Yeah, and didn't look like it was even by any of the doors. It's like, and plus the roof is open.
Yeah,
there's a big star on the roof. Come on. That's getting it to go to the. I mean, the Whedon cut was an absolute nightmare mess. That's the nightmare.
We didn't realize how bad it was until you actually get to see something like this, and it's like, wow, this is what it could have been, and you guys just decided to be greedy and wanted the money then versus now.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, and they missed out on a lot more money, though, in my opinion. Yeah, I was going to mention this. The spider thing that crawled on, that was very cool. How it kind of showed things that they've seen or whatever, because I thought that was a really cool interrogation thing. But yeah, Steppenwolf was so much better this time around. His skin's gross though. Like seeing his horn things without the armor was like really gross to me. I don't know. I did like seeing him get one like cut off or whatever. So
I really did like watching his armor fluctuate for each scenario that he was
when
in.
He got angry, it looked like it got spikier.
Yes, he did. It did. Like so when he went against Superman and he got real angry, everything spiked out. But when he's facing like Aquaman and stuff like that, like he's more relaxed. He's like, I don't need to be on my guard. I don't really need to have this, my armor at its top notch right now, which is really unique and small details that are super awesome.
And you know what? Superman beat his ass. Holy shit. I love, what did he say? He stops him from hitting Cyborg.
He said not impressed.
Not impressed. Freezes that shit, breaks it, fucking Spartan kicks him across the room. And then just starts wailing on him, like, and using his heat vision and wailing like, Jesus, Superman.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if he was going to stop. I was like, is Zack Snyder going to just keep pushing Superman? Like,
and then you have a moment where Wonder Woman and Aquaman just stop and kind of like, okay, and he's just whooping his ass. And the thing, first thing I thought, it was like, we went so many movies without seeing Superman really throw a punch, and then I mean, he threw plenty of punches this time, and he kicked somebody. I love the kick. That was cool. And my son's like, has he ever kicked anybody? I was like, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen him kick anybody.
Yeah,
have you?
I don't think I have either.
Yeah, not even a comic. Seth, what about? Have you seen Superman kick anybody? Think long and hard about that. I don't think I've ever seen him kick anybody.
No, we've seen Zod and Ursa kick people on the moon. That's about it.
Yeah, didn't Ursa just basically kick a guy in the nuts and on the moon?
Instead of flying out in space.
Yeah.
But I liked Steppenwolf a lot in this version. I felt like he had more of a purpose. And I felt like he was way more badass and brutal too.
Yeah.
He kind of like in the theatrical cut, he just got the, he just kind of got his stuff and bounced, and he was fucking shit up a lot in this one.
Yeah, it was good to see him come to fruition the right way, because like it didn't bother me the way he looked in the other one. It looked silly, and but I was like, whatever, this is what we got. That's how I was with the other cut. I was like, well, this is what we got. We just have to deal with it. But seeing him, especially with the Ultimate Edition of BVS, seeing what he looked like there, it matched up, because you go from one to the other, like, yeah, he looks way different. He looks like a turd. Joe said he got a new TV and watched it on it.
Yeah, I actually watched on my projector.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good question. I watched it in the 4x3 for IMAX. It bothered me for about a half an hour, but after that, I really didn't notice it as much. I don't like that, and I hope that the Blu-ray, when it comes out, it's regular 16:9 or whatever, 2.3, whatever it is.
Yeah, they need that for sure.
Yeah. But did that bother you guys at all?
Didn't bother me at all.
Yeah,
it didn't really bother me at all either. I mean, but I'm a big cinema buff, so I'm always watching, different random obscure movies that, have different aspect ratios. Some are black and white. Was that the most recent one with Robert Pattinson, The Lighthouse? That's what it was.
Yeah.
That one was crazy.
Was that in the same ratio? I haven't seen that.
No, it was just black and white.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Seth and I watch those Universal movies from the 30s and 40s, and they're like that. But newer movies, I don't expect to be like that. So, but it, like I said, it didn't bother me. It bothered my son. He's like, why is it like this? Why is it? Why am I don't know, man. Just let it be. It's fine. We're getting a kick-ass movie, inside the black bars. I mean, I remember whenever I still had a tube TV. Actually, this would fit on a tube TV. But when DVDs were all coming out widescreen, you couldn't. I was like, this is pissing me off because it makes everything so much smaller. And now it's the other way is upsetting me.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something, Seth? You look like you were ready to say something.
No.
I'm looking right at your face right now.
Huh?
I said I'm looking at your face right now.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Yes, so I do. This movie was called Justice League, and it's about giving everybody justice. So Steppenwolf finally got justice.
Yes. Speaking of Stephen, with this fight with Steppenwolf and Wonder Woman, when they shot her going over his head as they were in the middle of the battle, I think was absolutely just pure beauty. Mm-hmm. Like it really did highlight Wonder Woman in like the greatest way possible.
Well, let's talk about Wonder Woman then. We're breaking through all the characters. Let's talk about Wonder Woman. Let's talk about that terrorist scene at the beginning and how much better it was. Because in Whedon's cut, she comes down and does that little dance across the people, blocking the bullets, and then that's pretty much it. And then she throws the thing up in the air and explodes. This one, she comes down, she knocks out all the other guys because in the Whedon cut, you're like, what about the other guys? She didn't do anything about those guys. Mm-hmm. And then she does all that stuff. And then the best part for me was when she jumped up and threw that thing in the sky, the briefcase in the sky, and waited for it. That was a great shot. I thought that was fantastic. So what do you guys think of Wonder Woman? And this is I like this Wonder Woman way better than what we got in 84.
Oh yeah.
Way better. Right? Wonder Woman 84, just that for me, that was the worst of all these movies, other than this the Whedon cut.
No, I feel you. 84 was hard for me. It was that opening scene that really just kind of put me down the path of not liking it right from the beginning, because it was just like she was like floating like through the mall. And, like you could definitely tell that like they had her hooked up to a harness and all that stuff. And it just looks so ridiculously unrealistic. But in this, they used a lot more CGI, obviously, and it really did play. And it paid off very well for them, because we get to see Wonder Woman, her true acrobatic abilities, and how tough she really is at the end of the day. She's taking hits like everybody else and still getting up and going at it harder than anybody else, which is one of the reasons I've always been a big fan of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Joe says 84 was too campy trying to Marvel-tize it. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. 84 I think is going to be wiped off the map at some point. I mean, I think the next Wonder Woman movie has to be in the present, in my opinion. And I wouldn't mind seeing Zack Snyder take the helm. There's been rumors that they want him to take the helm for Wonder Woman 3. Yes, please. Just let him direct a few things, I think the way he's depicted Wonder Woman in both of the movies that she's in with him. I mean, I love the first Wonder Woman movie quite a bit, but the way he's depicted her in Justice League and BVS, I love her. She's so tough. She's the toughest woman ever. People might say, well, Black Widow. No, fucking Wonder Woman's the shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Spill it, Seth.
I pretty much agree with you guys. Wonder Woman 84 is literally the bottom of my list of ranking these DCEU movies. And I adore the first Wonder Woman movie too. Yeah. And, I was so excited to see this, and it was just, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking by trying to go Superman: The Quest for Peace. But but like I like the way that Zack shoots her and the way he kind of directs her, because she's very badass. She's very take charge. She's very you really get the sense that she's a warrior in his movies, and he really highlights that, especially in this movie. Like even those scenes that were similar or whatever to the theatrical cut, she comes off as way more badass, way more of a warrior.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, you can't take your eyes off her, and not because she's a beautiful woman, of course, but to how awesome she is with the sword and the shield, and even the lasso. And they took that away from her in the '84 movie. You know, she had the lasso, but she didn't have the sword and shield, which to me was one of the best things about her. I mean, she used that sword to cut fucking Steppenwolf's head off.
It was Ninja Turtles 2 all over again.
Oh man, you know what? Combat cold cuts. I love that movie. Always make more pizza. Yeah, Wonder Woman was great. I don't think there's really much other than that scene, but the scene on Themyscira was fucking cool, right? Tell me what you guys thought of that. It was more. We talked about the chamber falling into the ocean, and I thought it was really cool seeing all the parademons fly out of the water and Steppenwolf jump, and it's like, you know, she gives her the box, the queen gives her the box, and she's like, keep it moving. It's like he's gonna catch up no matter what. That dude just takes a leap and he's there. But a lot of it was the same from that point on. But I will say that overall, everything, you know, on Paradise Island was pretty damn awesome. I could watch a whole movie. Matter of fact, I forgot to say this last night. I want to see, you know, they in New 52 or Flashpoint, the Atlanteans were led by Arthur, you know, Aquaman, and the Amazons were led by Diana, and they were at war, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I want to see the war that happened years ago, you know, with King Atlan and you know, it'd be Hippolyta, but still, I want to see that war. Why Amazons and Atlanteans don't like each other, because they mentioned that Diana and Arthur mentioned that at some point in the movie. But it's like, I want to see why they don't like each other. I want to see why. I mean, we kind of saw why the Aqua people, the Atlanteans, are in the ocean, but I want to see that as a movie. Because the beginning of Man of Steel with Jor-El and everything going on Krypton, that could have been a badass movie. You know? Yeah. I want to see that. Atlanteans versus Amazons. Let's see it. Let's make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that. That would be an amazing. It would definitely take a lot of CGI to do something like that, but it would definitely be a lot of fun to do something like that. Overall, though, I have to say, like, Themyscira as a whole, the whole, you know, on the island, the battle was good for the most part. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I love
it. It was, you know, it was a lot of fun. I think there was one spot where we saw some Amazons riding away, and the CGI looked like super cheap and cheesy. And it really did stick out, but that was the only CGI issue I ever saw. And it was like, you know, it felt like they didn't want to put a lot of money into that spot. I mean, they were just riding away. There was no point to dump a whole lot of money into that one shot.
Yeah. I think, I didn't really notice too much. I didn't really pay that much attention to the CGI, although I know in a lot of other spots it was way better. But yeah, I think they handled Wonder Woman and Amazon. Oh, the Arrow of Artemis. I did want to mention that. So in the Whedon cut, she just shoots an arrow, and it's like, God, how did she shoot a fucking arrow that far? And, you know, it's like, they couldn't take another minute or two to explain it was the Arrow of Artemis, and I mean, that makes more sense why it was able to do that, you know. And then the whole scene with Diana in the catacombs, she was Wonder Woman Tomb Raider, you know, which I thought was really cool. And she learned, and that's the other thing, she learned the history, and then went to tell Bruce about the history of what's going on, and she learned it, not just all of a sudden knew it like in the Whedon cut, which I thought was great. I really love that scene. So what did you guys think of this enhanced like flashback scene with the gods, with the Atlanteans, the men, you know, the Amazons, which I also noticed Hippolyta again. I didn't notice her in the Whedon cut, but I noticed her. She had a bigger role. And when she said it says Amazons, and they start 300, man. Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I think that scene was really good. It really gave some depth to the story. You know what you're building to. You see that drawing of Darkseid on the wall, and you know what's coming. You know what they're in for, and it just excites you. It gets that blood boiling. You're ready to see what's coming next, and it's great, especially for a 4-hour movie. It's great to help build that suspense and let them know like this movie's going to pay off. Like you're going to see something at the end that's going to be worth it. And 4 hours, I think a lot of people have agreed with it that 4 hours didn't really seem like anything. Most of us watch 2.5-hour movies now as it is, but 4 hours, like that was not that bad. Granted, I watched it at like 2 o'clock in the morning, so I think I did fall asleep for like 10 minutes towards the end. But I just rewound it when I woke back up.
Yeah. Well, and people bitch about the 4-hour runtime, but it's like, how many of you have fucking binged Stranger Things in one day?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you watched a show in one fucking day? There's no difference. This had chapter breaks, just like a show would have a break between episodes. This had chapter breaks. You could have stopped it right there, took a piss, took a shit, whatever you need to do, grab some popcorn, grab a beer, whatever it is you're doing. Seth grabbing beers. Don't bitch about the 4-hour runtime, because even Zack Snyder, he put him in there for that reason. He even said that the best time, if you're going to make it a 2-night thing, is to stop after chapter 4 and then start the next day with chapter 4 or chapter 5. So that the runtime didn't bother me one bit. I actually, when I heard 4 hours, like, ooh, give me 4 hours of Justice League. I was very happy with that. But yeah, with that flashback scene, it was really cool to be expanded. Seeing the Green Lantern's hand cut off was cool. Seeing Darkseid, first of all, finally seeing Darkseid in the flesh, as it were, was really cool. And I loved it, man. Who was the one shooting the arrow? Which god was that?
I believe that was it the female or the male?
The female.
I think that was supposed to be who was I was thinking about this the other day and I couldn't remember, or yesterday. Because you had Zeus and you had Ares, and then I don't know. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I'm blanking. I've been blanking on it for days now, for the last 2 days. Anybody out there know? Let us know in the
comments. God, now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the anti-life equation.
Yeah,
anti-life equation. For a lot of people,
I thought it was Artemis too. Is Artemis a god?
I think she might have been. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's who I thought of initially, but there's also an Amazonian named Artemis. So,
yeah.
Anyway, go ahead with the anti-life equation.
Yes, the anti-life equation. So for there's a lot of people that don't, read comic books and stuff of that nature. So it explains why Darkseid, has this obsession with Earth and why it's so vital and so important, why Darkseid's been wanting to take it over and so on and so forth. And now people, why they don't necessarily understand the full capacity of the anti-life equation. They know something is on Earth that this guy wants. He's going to continuously try until he gets it.
Yeah. And I gotta be honest, when I heard the words anti-life equation pop up, I got goosebumps. I was like, oh my god, that's comic book stuff. I know this is all comic book stuff, but hearing that, and I remember the days of Final Crisis, and it was a big payoff for me hearing that and seeing Darkseid, another guy that loomed so large that I've been waiting for. It's that's the thing. Darkseid's he's a new god. He's an overall DC villain, not just a Superman thing, but you saw him in the Superman animated series, and you see him in a lot of some of the Justice League. They did Darkseid Wars a few years ago, which was really cool, and it's somebody I've always wanted to see. I wanted to see Superman get to fight somebody that wasn't just Zod, or what's the guy from the fourth movie, Seth?
Nuclear Man.
Yeah, I mean, we never get to see Superman fight anybody. I remember when Man of Steel was announced that Michael Shannon was playing Zod. People were bitching. It's like, Zod again? Because he was just in Smallville right before that. It's like, when are we going to get to see Brainiac? When are we going to get to see Metallo? Some of these other villains, and we're always seeing fucking Zod. And nothing against Zod. I do like Zod quite a bit. And especially Michael Shannon did a great job. But seeing Darkseid was a huge payoff. I still want to see Metallo. I still want to see Brainiac. He's Superman's ultimate villain. If we don't see Brainiac sometime with Henry Cavill, I'm gonna fucking riot. It's a one man riot. I'm gonna break one window and go to jail. But
Yeah, I've been really wanting to see some Brainiac and definitely just see more of Superman's rogue gallery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's got so many awesome villains that he can go against, and they've really selected just these few that they can maybe feel like they can write the story for, or whatever the case may be. But Brainiac, I mean, that show on Sci-Fi before it got canceled, Krypton, I believe it was called. It was really good, and it had a lot to deal with Brainiac and stuff of that nature. Sci-Fi is notorious for canceling good shows, so of course they canceled it. But it was really good. It was picking up with Jor-El and was it Adam Strange? It was someone with the Zeta beam. Someone with the Zeta beam had gone to Krypton to try to make sure that Superman ended up being born. So it was really unique. But yeah, they could definitely do something along those lines. Bring Brainiac in some capacity, because he's just too important to most Superman stories to not have him in there.
Well, not
because
even
he teaches Superman so many lessons.
He's very important to Superman fans.
Yes.
I mean, Seth, you're a bigger Superman fan than I love Joe. I know Joe Ridgely's out there. He's a big Superman fan. Oh God, Joe, don't get me started on Cyborg Superman.
I was thinking that too.
Other than Deathstroke, he's my favorite DC villain, especially what he does in the Sinestro Corps War. Holy shit, I love the dreaded Cyborg. He's in my living room right now. I got a DC figure from Cyborg wearing the Sinestro Corps logo, holding all the rings because he got all those. Anyway, Seth, how do you feel? You want to see Brainiac?
Oh, absolutely. For sure. Like, I'm kind of getting tired of seeing Lex Luthor all the time. Yeah.
Lex Luthor has been pretty boring, especially with Justin Eisenberg. Like, he's a good actor, don't get me wrong, but his Lex is just, it still doesn't click for me. Compared to the comic books anyway. Like, the comic book Lex is the Lex, you know what I mean? So seeing him portray it, I enjoy it, but I don't think it's as best as it could be.
Clancy Brown does Lex in the animated series for Superman and Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, and he's fantastic as Lex. Even I wasn't even very happy with Rainn Wilson doing it in the animated movies with the Death of Superman and the Reign of the Superman. They really changed that quite a bit, but it was okay. They also changed Hush, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, I was not happy with Jesse Eisenberg as Lex ever. He was better at the end of this movie than he was in all of BVS. I mean, I remember pre-BVS when they said they were going to get Lex into this. I was hoping they were going to cast what everybody was hoping for was Bryan Cranston, because he had just finished Breaking Bad when they started filming this. Yeah, that would have been pretty awesome. But didn't happen. I mean, I had these theories. I mean, I always said Jesse Eisenberg played a great Riddler, because that's what he reminded me of. Was Riddler.
Yes, 100% Riddler. I saw some people saying that Jared Leto would play a good Riddler, but I honestly, I haven't mind him as the Joker, and with this nightmare scenario, I honestly liked him a little bit more as the Joker. I think the more we get to see him actually betray the Joker, I think more people are going to be on board with him actually holding that role for a little bit of time at least.
Well, hopefully, I absolutely did like the let's talk about that. We didn't talk about Batman. Real quick, we'll talk about Batman and Superman. Batman was better in this versus the last one. Yeah. I like that like the line he left with Alfred when he went to the battle was, "How do you know he's going to show up?" "I have faith, Alfred." Like, whoa. You know, I mean, this is the whole thing. People bitched about the way he was in Batman versus Superman. Well, Superman inspired him to be back to being better. That's the whole point of that movie, really, for Batman. That's part of his arc, and that's what was going on. He inspired him to unite the Seven, and that's what he was doing, and he did a great job. And the team was working together and everything. I loved it. I still love Affleck as Batman, and that's all I want is him as Batman. So, I don't think I need to really say much more about how I feel about Affleck as Batman, because I adore him as Batman.
Yeah, I've never been like the hugest fan of Affleck doing that, but I think he's killing this role, and he, 4 years later, the way he was looking at the end of this movie was absolutely fantastic. He definitely looks like he could do another 5-6 years of DC movies before he even starts to age a little bit than where he's at right now. Anyway,
he's almost 50 and he doesn't even look it.
I know.
I look closer to 50 than he does. It's sad. No, yeah, I love Batman. Batman's what got me into comics. I started reading DC comics in 1987 or 88 when I was 7 or 8 years old because they were killing off Robin. I found that out somehow, and I wanted to read why. And first of all, I thought it was Dick and not Jason. And then I found out what was going on. I actually got to call in and vote. My mom let me call in and vote, and I voted to save Jason Todd. And Jason Todd has always been my favorite Robin, and they killed him. I was like, so my getting into comics, they killed off Robin right away. But then I didn't read comics for a long time. I got back into it in like 1993, and you know what happened then? Bane broke Batman's back right when I started reading comics again. I was like, fuck you, comics. Fuck you, comics. Yeah, Joe, that would be a dream come true. Okay. I don't know if I've mentioned this enough, but Deathstroke, Slade Wilson is my favorite DC villain. Not really a villain, but he between him and Batman, those are my two favorite characters in DC. I've got a shrine to Deathstroke above my trade shelf upstairs in my bedroom because I love him so much. He's so cool looking. He kills 99% of everything he needs to. He's a badass, man. I love Slade Wilson, and I that movie that was supposed to come out was going to be Batman versus Slade, and I want to see that. Really, what I'd like to see is Deadshot and Deathstroke team up against the Go for Batman. That would be awesome. And Will Smith come back as Deadshot. Don't let me keep talking. Keep somebody else say something because I'm gonna keep talking about Batman.
No, I didn't. I didn't mind. I didn't mind Will Smith as Deadshot at all. I think he did a really good job of it. But yeah, like Slade Wilson 100%. That's the next Batman I want to see is him going as Slade Wilson, because at the end of the day, like Slade Wilson is like the ultimate badass. He's a guy that arguably can take on the Justice League by himself. So, seeing him go against Batman would be absolutely phenomenal. And we got to see some Slade Wilson working with Batman in the Nightmare scenario, which was even freaking more awesome because I didn't expect to see Slade Wilson there at all. Honestly, I wasn't even expecting that Nightmare scenario to be expanded to that extent. But I'm super glad they did. Now, my question is at the end where Superman comes in. Now, the Superman looked really young. Do you think that was just the CGI, or do you think they're trying to hint at maybe that was like Jonathan?
No, I think that was Kal-El or Clark. It probably just CGI because the whole idea, from what I keep hearing, is you saw the pregnancy test and Lois. I heard that there was a rumor that they at the very end of all this they show Superman and Lois's son is the new Batman or something along those lines. So
I'd heard that was Snyder's ultimate end game was to have Batman essentially go back in time with Barry Allen and him be the one to die instead of Lois Lane.
Yeah. Well, that's what Joker's even talking about. Is they like, how many times did you not have the cojones to kill yourself or sacrifice yourself or whatever, and she dies, which makes me wonder what Joker really knows.
I love that he was able to make. I love that he was able to make Batman just snap like that. Is like, by the end of this, I will fucking kill you.
Yeah,
like Batman just at the end of his rope.
Yeah, he is, and he's like, "Believe me, I will fucking kill you." And then the Joker just kind of looks stunned. He's like, "He almost had me. He's not gonna kill him. He's never gonna kill him." And Joker knows that. That's why I love that scene between those two.
That's why my favorite line is, "I'm your best friend."
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm your best friend. And that makes me want to see more Leto as Joker. I mean, am I wrong? Was he not redeemed for his bullshit in Suicide Squad?
I think so. I think that Suicide Squad is fixed.
I do not think he got a fair shake with Suicide Squad either. So Seth, you've been
Yeah.
quiet, man. What do you think about all this?
Oh well, because I have been kind of keeping up on some of the Zack Snyder stuff of what he was planning to do. Because I heard a while back that basically the story that became, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War was kind of like sort of where Zack Snyder wanted to take his trilogy anyway. But he had storyboards and stuff made up, like I think while they were doing Batman vs Superman of his grand plan. And he said even recently, because they released these to the public, that a lot of the ideas that were in these that you can read about weren't going to make it into his final thing. A lot of things were changing as he was making these come along, and one of the things in there was the fact that Batman and Lois Lane were they were taking an occasional trip down to Pound Town while Clark is dead, and that basically you find out in you would have find out in the second one that she's pregnant and that it was Bruce's kid, and all that, and Zack's pretty much came out and said no, that was just something that I initially came up with, but that wasn't going to happen going forward. But you can find out there's actually several like YouTube videos about it, articles about it, where people really kind of break down everything from the storyboards for Justice League 2 and 3. And I have to say, it's a really fucking tight trilogy. It gets really dark.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way the second one ends, and there's a little bit of time travel for the third one. Mind you, this was pre-Infinity War and Endgame.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Just getting that shit out there. Like
I was actually thinking that yesterday. I was like, we need to make sure that this is known. Like Zack Snyder was thinking about time travel long before Avengers Endgame came in here and did that.
Yeah.
We're talking back in 2015. Way before Endgame, way before. He may have had the plan from the get-go, from Man of Steel on.
Yeah.
And with someone like the Flash, that option is just always right there on the table.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like it's funny because like that's what I kind of like about like what Snyder was building towards, though, is because like there's a complete story arc from Man of Steel all the way to Justice League 3 where it's really tight, and you see all these seeds in Batman vs Superman. Just watching it the other day, I was like, wow, like this really fit in with what I was reading about from the storyboards. And as is, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Justice League is a great trilogy in its own. But like I really want Snyder to come back and to do 2 and 3 with the general area of where he was going to take it, because it sounded like he was going to, it was going to be really dark for a bit, but it was going to end where it's like flat out fucking superhero shit, like hopeful, inspiring type of stuff. Like it's just, it just takes a little time to get there. He starts off dark and then kind of ends almost.
Yeah. And once again, fans are the reason why we're not getting this, just like why George Lucas had to sell Star Wars to Disney. Because fans are bitching, fans are impatient, fans are looking at Marvel and comparing. You think Star Trek fans look at Star Wars and compare and contrast? No, I don't think so. They're not. Star Trek is not reactionary to Star Wars and vice versa, and the fans are, and it's stupid. I was taking everything, like I admit, I said, I think they could have made a Batman movie in here before to set BVS up a little bit better. And expanding the universe a little bit. And sure, I want to see a Man of Steel 2, but this is why we're not getting a Man of Steel 2, because it's all within this story that Zack's putting together.
And
I want to see these movies.
Our Justice League animated, this is kind of how that all began. With the Justice League, they didn't really know each other. They didn't really have established backgrounds with each other. They just kind of formed together because Darkseid was a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that Zack Snyder's continuing on with that. And, you know, while we have, you know, nowadays, we've gotten some movies and so on and so forth, you know, when this was originally supposed to air, this wasn't really supposed to introduce you to like the whole backstory of all the characters, but more or less introduce you to who the Justice League is and then branch off from there, making individual movies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's different from what Marvel was doing. And people didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people go ahead.
That's really a fucking shame too, because like I've always said, you know, DC needs to have its own identity, you know, and I don't understand, I guess, this critique against some movies where you know, people say where it takes itself too seriously. What is the problem with a superhero movie taking itself seriously and telling a serious story and a big epic grand action masterpiece?
Yep.
But now it's like everything has to have comedy in it, and it has to make you feel all warm and fuzzy when you fucking leave the theater.
Did Empire Strikes Back make people feel warm and fuzzy when they left the theater? Probably not. Probably
No.
Did the
No, that's a
Revenge of the
big
Sith make you
cliffhanger
feel
to leave
warm
it
and
on.
fuzzy?
Yep,
No.
that's exactly it. You know, just like I guess I'm old and I don't understand modern audiences and what they want.
I don't know, man. I think they want the Marvel way, and then when it doesn't work when they try the Marvel way and it doesn't work the right way, then they turn your back, and they're like, okay, let's just make solo movies that aren't as good. Like, I mean, Aquaman was fine, Shazam was fine, but Wonder Woman was not good. Period. But yeah, I really hope something happens. And this movie was so good. 4 hours. We wouldn't have gotten 4 years ago. We probably wouldn't have gotten a 4 hour cut. I don't know if that we would have even gotten a 3 hour cut. So this would have looked way different. So I'm glad that we got what we got now. But it's just, I wonder what's going to happen in the future. Joe says seeing Deathstroke throughout the film and seeing Granny Goodness pop up was really cool. Yeah, that was awesome. Come to Granny. I like Granny Goodness. But yeah, let's you guys want to talk about the future, what we think could happen, because we know the Flash is happening for sure. And
hopefully
the Suicide Squad is coming out this summer, which I'm pretty excited about. It looks like a lot of fun. But are we gonna
James Gunn's doing that, right?
Yeah. Are we gonna get to see Leto as Joker again? Are we gonna get to see Affleck's supposed to be in Flash, right?
I believe so. Cameo.
Yeah, or was that retracted?
I haven't heard any new news on it yet. Last I knew, that was happening. Yeah, there's a lot of avenues they can go from here. I would definitely like to see Jared Leto back as the Joker. There's lots of avenues they can insert him in here. I've also heard, rumors talking about, Snyder's already said that he would be on board to continue this adventure. It really comes down to Warner Brother. And I think after they see this, first month of positive reviews and how many people are actually watching it on their streaming service, I think it's really going to blow up. And I think Warner Brothers not going to have any other choice but to continue on with the Snyderverse, because anything that they try to put out, everybody is going to compare to what Zack Snyder would have done. Yeah.
There's always going to be that question of woulda.
Like what? Because we've already seen how much better Zack Snyder can create something. So you're going to come out with something else.
Just give him the time.
Yeah, and that was actually like the part of the movie that made me probably tear up was when at the end when it said for autumn. Like that was absolutely beautiful, because the studio didn't give him the time. If they gave him the time, just to get off work, like, because that's understandable. Like, you just had a tragic loss. Like, take some time off, come back to this movie when you're ready. But greed and capitalism is everything.
That to me is despicable for the Warner Brothers to not, they really showed him absolutely no respect by, well, we need to get this movie out by November. Let's you go ahead, do your thing. We're gonna hire Joss Whedon.
Warner Brothers was so reactionary to how people responded to Batman vs Superman.
Yeah,
it was almost like definitely a backstabbing, because since Batman vs Superman came out, because they started shooting Justice League not too long, like I think before or after.
Damn near right after, yeah.
Yeah, and the studio had a lot of interference. They wanted a lot of changes because of how people responded to how dark Batman vs Superman was. And so they kept fucking with his vision, but then, they, like I said in the beginning, like they took full advantage of Zack Snyder's tragedy to kind of like sneak in a way to try to fix the DC universe and try to appeal to all the people who wanted all the nice and warm fuzzy stuff. And it's kind of funny now that it's almost like kicking them in the ass, because they had a pretty straight line of where they were going with this universe. Then they fucked it up.
Yeah.
And now they're just kind of scrambling about. And now they're trying to take it into one direction, saying that Snyder's vision is a cul-de-sac. But at the same time, this movie has been huge in trending. I guarantee you HBO Max views and subscriptions have went through the roof. This has got good critic reception, great audience reception. There are people, trash talking, of course, but there's mostly positive about it. And now even Restore the Snyderverse is trending, and it's, now they have to kind of respond to that. Now they have to take the popularity of this and be like, okay, well, what the fuck do we do now? It's great. People talk shit about this whole, release the Snyder Cut thing. It was always blaming the toxic fans.
Sets a bad precedent.
Yeah, I know, because every fandom has its bad fans. Let's get that out of the way first and foremost.
Even
There's no
Marvel
fucking
does.
innocent fan base out there, and this movie did not happen because a bunch of people online bullied it into existence. It is not fucking
But
true.
they're trying to get you to believe that.
Right. It happened because AT&T bought Warner Brothers. They were trying to put emphasis on HBO Max.
Yep.
And, oh, look, we have something that has a strong following that can draw people in. They took advantage of the fact that the consumers wanted this property. So it wasn't because they were bullied into it. They just looked at, hey, this is going to be easy money for us. This is going to help build HBO Max. And I guarantee it has. And at the same time, it's now they're stuck with this because the positive reception to this.
Yeah, so come for Justice League, stay for every other DC property that there is, except for the Donner Cut.
And then you still have all of HBO's literal inventory, which is amazing shows. Almost everything HBO has.
You got Game of Thrones, which is still a great show. I know it didn't end great, but like there were moments in the Snyder Cut in Justice League that looked like Game of Thrones a little bit, with the war. I mean, there's a lot. Plus, there is so much DC. They just added the Superman animated series a couple days ago. That's great. Batman the animated series is on here. They're starting to get a lot of those animated movies. I think Doom Patrol is on there. I think Titans is on there.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so much DC content. I wish the CW shows would get on there too somehow.
Yeah,
I think they are. I think they're working that out. They're
Thank God.
Because actually, from what I understand, is HBO is involved with Superman and Lois, which will probably explain why that is a fantastic fucking show.
Have you seen that show yet, Brian?
Yes, I absolutely. I was very not sure about that show going into it because it's CW. Like I enjoyed the Flash, I enjoyed the Arrow, the Legends of Tomorrow. They ended up ruining that, making it really ridiculous. Batwoman, I really tried. I was 19 episodes in, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Same with Supergirl, I couldn't do it. So yeah, when I got into Superman and Lois after the first episode, I was like, oh my god, like this is amazing. Like CW made this? Are you sure?
Yeah,
it's a definitely different step from the Flash. I loved Arrow, even when Arrow was low. I still loved Arrow, and the Flash. The first 2 or 3 seasons were some of the best CW ever. But then something happened. I don't know what happened, but they started getting kind of not good, and it really after they got the rights to Supergirl from NBC or ABC, whoever had Supergirl. It started getting kind of like, not as good. And even Arrow showed it, and Batwoman wasn't. Batwoman I was so stoked for because I read Batwoman comics, especially when she took over Detective Comics and during Death of Superman or Batman R.I.P. when Final Crisis and all that. She took over Detective for a while, and her run on Detective, and then she had her own comic for a while. Fantastic. I love the character, but the show was not good. I didn't even get 5 episodes into it because it was boring. I don't know how they make these Supergirl and Batwoman boring. And
I don't know.
I know the answer, but like, why didn't they do Batgirl? Batgirl's far more interesting in my opinion, but I know the answer. I'm not going to say what the answer is, but
Barbara Gordon would be amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, her costume looks really great, and at the same time, so why don't they do Batman? People want to see Batman. I mean, you are like at the beginning of Supergirl, they tried to keep Superman out because they wanted to focus attention on her, but people wanted to see Superman, so they brought him in, and now he's got his own show. That's because people want to see that. Please your audience. That's what you want to do. Bring me Batman, the CW show, because I bet it would rock ass. I bet it would be hard fucking core. I mean, CW hardcore, of course, but like Arrow was, because Arrow was Batman light, in my opinion.
It was 100%.
And he took over a lot of Batman's villains. I mean, Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul, however you want to pronounce it, was in that show. He had no fucking place in that show. He didn't. Nanda Parbat, Green Arrow never had to go there. No fucking way.
League of Assassins was heavy in Arrow.
Yes, and that should have been Batman. We'll do a Batman show. Nothing against Stephen Amell. I love that guy. The things he's done for cancer is amazing. Fuck cancer completely. I know all too well. But I loved Arrow, and I want to see a Batman Arrowverse show. Even the Batman suit in Arrow looked better than the fucking Gotham suit. Did you guys see the Gotham suit? Worst ever. Plus, you got now the multiverse is a real thing because you saw Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin together, which was amazing. We got to see Brandon Routh be Superman again. Bring me that show. I want to see that show.
Yep.
There's so many things they could do, and fans are going to eat it up because they love it. There's no reason why we can't have 3 or 4 Superman. Give me Brandon Routh. Give me Cavill in the movies. Give me Tyler Hoechlin, and give me, I don't give a shit, but it should be Michael B. Jordan playing the Black Superman. Give me that movie. I want it all. I want Pattinson playing Batman maybe for one movie because I don't think he's going to get a second movie. I'm really starting to think that's going to be a one and done, a one pump, as you say. Apparently he's been pumping Catwoman, which I don't blame him. But I want to see Affleck back. Give him that 6-episode arc with fucking Deadshot and Deathstroke. That's what I want. Do it. Give me the Red Lanterns. I want to see Red Lanterns on screen. I mean, come on.
Yes.
That's where Rage of RayZor came from. Rage of Red Lanterns. Come on.
And that's why I'm really hoping that, again, another thing HBO is doing is the Green Lantern Corps. So we're going to get to see that expanded on. I don't know how that'll connect.
In the Snyderverse, or is that going to be its own thing?
That's a good question. And they may be, and after this release, they may be questioning.
Joe mentioned Birds of Prey, the show that came out in 2002. It was very good. It got canceled way too early.
It had 1 or 2 seasons?
Less. It was 9 episodes or something like that.
I remember. Go ahead. No, you're good. I've never actually watched it. I've seen it I think it's on the CW Seed app or something like that. But I think what was I saying? I don't even remember now. Green Lantern Corps is going to be coming on HBO. So now with Zack Snyder's success, we could definitely see something. I think this Zack Snyder release is going to make everybody over at Warner Brothers and HBO all take a step back and say, okay, this is obviously what everybody loves and wants. How can we incorporate this into everything else that we have in the works already going? Yeah,
and I think Flash could be very telling because they didn't start shooting that till after DC Fandom. And we remember how well that went and how hyped we got over the Batman and even the Flash movie with Michael Keaton. I mean, and then talking about all the other things that were going to happen. It's like they could have changed whatever based on the reaction of what people were having towards the Snyder Cut, because I remember when they announced releasing the Snyder Cut, people's reactions were through the fucking roof. And based on that alone, they could have like, okay, well, we need to alter the Flash movie just a hair. And let me tell you, if they somehow pull a Flashpoint and we need to recast Ben Affleck, that would be fine with me. But I want to make sure Ben Affleck gets, I want to make sure there's some way he gets like a swan song, as to get out of it. This could have been it, but I think there's one more thing he's got to do. If they want to recast him, do it this way.
Yeah.
I don't want Michael Keaton to be the Batman of the universe, by the way. I love Michael Keaton, don't get me wrong, but I don't need a 70-year-old Batman.
Yeah, he's too old. It's just too old at this point.
Unless they're going to do Batman Beyond, but I don't really see that happening.
No, definitely they need to start making room for like if they're going to go that route, they definitely need to just do a younger cast. That way they can actually build up, the next 10 years of movies and watch these individuals age and become, the next era of the era of superheroes.
Yeah, absolutely. Seth, what are your thoughts on all this, man? I know you've got some thoughts too.
Well, my main thought here is I think it's a mistake for them to jump into any type of Flashpoint story.
Really?
For the first Flash movie. Yeah. To me, it's a huge mistake. I think they could have taken
for the
time.
first Flash story, I do agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, because they could have taken the time to build up, what the hell is his name? Reverse Flash. I can't remember.
Dawn.
Yeah. That whole dynamic with him and Barry,
because it's very much deeper than for one movie. I mean, I'm sure they had to spend like 2 seasons on it.
Yeah, basically. And to me, it just seems like they're I don't know, prematurely ejaculating their loads on restarting the universe already, because we haven't had enough of it to get to that point. This is what I love about the DC animated movies. Like the new 52 movies. There was like fucking 20 of them.
Yeah.
Before they got to Apocalypse War, and
it's so tight too.
Exactly, and like when you get to Apocalypse War, and it starts off with that quote from Nora Allen, and then it ends with Barry having to do the Flashpoint again. You kind of feel that shit, but you have everything in context. You have Flashpoint. You have an understanding of the character. You don't have that with this theatrical universe, and to just do it now just seems like a big mistake. And then again, I think it's a reactionary thing from Warner Brothers to be like, people didn't like Batman vs Superman. Let's restart. Let's start with Flashpoint to get rid of it.
And real quick, Joe has a good question. Curious which one was hard scheduled first, the Snyder Cut or Falcon and Winter Soldier? I actually think the Snyder Cut was scheduled first.
Yeah, I actually forgot Falcon and Winter Soldier was coming out. I woke up and everybody was talking. They're like, "Oh yeah, that came out." I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, that's exactly like I watched it this morning. I was like, that was underwhelming, and it's actually really good. The show,
it was great. It just
like, okay, it wasn't like. I got a question to ask in a minute, but this is great conversation. I love talking about this stuff because I think seeing this, we could get potential for big things in this decade for DC. This could be DC's decade. I think Marvel's going to be very convoluted over the next year. I mean, with 1,000 shows, and you're going to have so much to keep up with. I think DC could step in and start really turning some heads. And I think the Snyder Cut's the first way to do that. And I think Flash might be the second one, however that turns out to be, which I'm really excited about. More and more, and Suicide Squad. What else is coming out next year? There's another. Oh, Batman. The Batman's coming out next year.
Robert Pattinson one.
Yeah, which I'm excited about that. But nothing against Pattinson, nothing against Reeves or anything like that. I have a bad feeling this is going to be the only one. I have a really bad feeling it's going to be the only one because those two apparently cannot work together, and so they're going to have to either pick the director or the actor. And I'm like, that's bullshit. I've heard many things about Matt Reeves not liking Pattinson at all, and that wasn't even his choice from what I hear. He wanted Beast from the X-Men. Flashpoint was one of the best animated movies. You know what? Flashpoint. The best thing about Flashpoint is watching Justice League War immediately after.
Yes.
Seriously, watch those back to back. It's because that's how it happened in the comics. Yeah. Seth, I was so behind. I think it was last year. I was behind, like way behind. Seth's like, you got to catch up. Apocalypse War is so good. You got to catch up. And I did. I watched all of them in a row. I'm like, I can't fucking believe how tight this is. I mean, you got, first of all, they weren't exactly how I wanted them to be, of course, which is fine. But they played for the universe well, which is Death of Superman and Reign of the Supermen. I have fond memories of reading Reign of the Superman. It was one of the first comics I remember reading when I started reading comics again, because that was still going on right before Nightfall. And I remember reading that back when I was like 11 or 12 years old, and I fell in love with Cyborg Superman and Superboy. But they did a pretty decent job for what they were trying to do. And then Hush was way different, but it was still at the same time we got to see Hush on screen, and had the meat of the story was still there. It was just a little bit different. I like the comic book a little bit better. Now we're going to get to see my favorite of all time, The Long Halloween, which I think is going to be too hard. So DC's like, with the animated stuff, they really hit me on every level. I keep thinking, like, after BVS is like, they're never going to hit me on the same level they were hitting me like they did. But then the Justice League Snyder Cut comes out, and I'm like, God, son of a bitch did it. He did it. So
yeah, he really did. It was phenomenal work, man, all the way around. Like this is, like I said, it's going to make everybody take a step back and say, you know what, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we releasing this in theaters in 2 years and going to make $1 billion off of it? Because we will.
Yep.
And like you were saying earlier, this is DC Comics, decade to shine. I've been saying that for a while. Marvel, the last decade, they've been pumping out their movies one after another, which I've loved. But, they're going to get to a point where it's going to stagger off a little bit. They're going to take some time in between movies. And that's when DC has this opportunity. And especially with something like Snyder's Cut, you can drop something like this in between that and really just continue this nostalgia-driven phenomenon that right now is comic book movies.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I'd like to see Shazam and Superman really on screen together. I would really love this. There's a fight scene between those two in the Justice League Unlimited series. Holy fuck, it's so cool. And then Black Adam's supposed to be coming. I want to see all this stuff happen in the same universe, because I want to see them all interact with each other. I mean, how cool would it be to see an interchangeable Justice League at some point where you can have Shazam step in for Batman or whoever, or have anybody really. I mean, fucking Black Adam's been working with the Justice League recently, kind of. He still kicks him off his land or whatever, but there's like, I'd love to see the interchangeableness. The thing with Marvel, in my opinion, this is my opinion, they've already used their best characters and they're almost all gone. Captain America's for the most part gone.
He's literally aged his entire life.
I think the Captain America, Iron Man, all that stuff's gone. They're trying to bring in this whole wave of new people. I don't think it's going to work out like they think. I don't think Marvel is invincible like they probably might think at this point. They keep pumping out the same shit. WandaVision was different, but if they keep pumping out the same shit over and over, I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 1 was pretty cool. There were some cool moments, but it's like at the same time, it's like I want to watch Justice League again.
Yeah, I don't know how well recepted Eternals is going to be. Eternals is supposed to come out the end of this year, and there's many people that read comics that don't read the Eternals line, So I don't know how well that's going to be recepted, especially because what's that?
Until they announced the movie, I forgot the Eternals was even a thing.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a whole movie on it, and that's the thing. Most people don't realize the Eternals is like a grand spectrum versus Earth's small problems with the Avengers. Yeah, Sandman movie too.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I think for me, like, I'm looking forward to Spider-Man. I know Seth is a Spider-Man guy, but not a big fan of this series, which I'm the same way. I'm not a big Spider-Man guy, but I prefer the Raimi Spider-Man stuff. But speaking of Raimi, the movie I'm looking forward to most with Marvel is Doctor Strange. So,
oh yes,
yeah, Doctor Strange and then Thor. But after that, they're still going to start teetering off these main characters, these main stories that they've been telling, and unless they pull out something out of their ass like Avengers Secret Invasion, where some of these guys were actually Skrulls, then you start bringing back some of their main characters like Tony Stark. And I think DC, this is your moment. And AT&T Warner, if you're listening, you're not. But if you're listening, it's your moment to fucking start turning course and making things right the way they should be. Give Zack Snyder, give Zack Snyder a contract and let him be. This is bold, but let him be Kevin Feige.
Yeah, let him do it.
Yeah,
because I even heard that they were giving him trouble about doing Superman with the long hair and beard, and that they said that was almost like a deal breaker for him. It was like either you can have this movie or you can have Superman with hair.
I want mullet for Superman.
Yeah. So, but now that they see Zack Snyder, it literally made gold for them. I'm pretty sure, if they decide to hand the reins over to him, he's going to have full control over what happens. He's got to.
But that's the question I ask you guys. Would you like to see Snyder oversee the entire DCU, EU?
Ooh, yeah. I think I would be okay with it only because I'm a big fan of most of his work, including Watchmen. I love the dark gritty, but then especially with someone like Superman, you can do the super dark gritty and then bring that giant beacon of hope out, and that seems to be what he's trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Indigo.
Hey,
tell Indigo I'm gonna come over there and.
That is Indigo. I think he needs to go outside. But just real quick, yeah, I think so because I like Zack Snyder and. I mean, if you look at especially Watchmen and 300, he's very fucking faithful to the source material.
Yeah.
Changing little things. You can't have every single detail from every single comic.
Some things needed to be changed, like in Watchmen.
But yes. But I was talking about this with my friend last night. It's like when you watch a Zack Snyder movie, every frame is almost like a comic book panel.
Yes.
He's got this great artistic style. And, I like what he's been doing with the DCEU. So I would like to see, his vision, because he pretty much was almost overseeing it, right? He was a producer on the Wonder Woman movies, on Aquaman. I think he was even a producer on Shazam. Yeah. So he was almost like that, but then just, Warner turned against him because of fan reception to a movie they didn't understand.
Yep. And now they are understanding it, I think.
Yeah.
So you need to take Indigo out. Take Indigo out.
Yeah, I'm just going to let him out real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, let him out.
Come on,
yeah.
Come on, buddy.
So, Indigo, it's funny when he's recording videos for the Horror Syndicate, Indigo always is like they're clanging his neck thing. What is it called? Leash on stuff. Leash. And yeah, when I have to edit his videos, like Indigo, leave me alone. But man, I'm so happy right now. My son's so happy, and he's been. As soon as I could put a comic book in his hand, he's had comic books in his hand, and his favorite heroes are Batman and Superman, and we're a DC family, straight up. I like Marvel. Don't get me wrong. I grew up with Marvel and stuff, but DC is my I mean, I've got every fucking, not every one of them, but so many Batman pops right here on my desk. There are like 12 of them or 13.
Yeah, I just actually ended up getting this one right here, the death metal Batman guitar solo.
Yeah.
The nightmare.
Yeah. I got the Justice League one.
Nice. Yeah, I just picked that one up. I actually after I watched the movie, I went online and I bought the whole Justice League pop set off of eBay.
Yeah, I need to get some other ones, but can't seem to find it. I have the 66 Batman holding a surfboard, but I don't know where he went.
Oh,
like that one. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I call him Big Kahuna Batman. But yeah, man, Batman's my favorite by far. Yeah. That's why I wrote Operation Eclipse. I couldn't write Batman, so I made up my own thing. I mean, I hope that when people read it, they're like, man, this guy must like Batman. So I do love Batman.
Yeah, I definitely started with the Flash, and then I ended up moving to Marvel with the YouTube channel and stuff like that. But so I've definitely been a Marvel fan or a DC fan since the beginning, and more of a more recent Marvel fan. So, seeing this, because I was very skeptical. First of all, I was worried that it was too hyped up. Just we were getting a trailer on every character. I was just like, this, like, are they going to bite themselves in the ass because of this? Like, because it really seems like they're just trying to make it to where it's going to be successful. But then I sat down, I watched it, and I was like, yes, this is exactly what you should have been doing the whole time.
Yeah, and I don't think this bit them in the ass. I've only seen a couple negative things. One of them was too much slow-mo. It's like, who cares? That doesn't bother me one bit, and I have seen one guy say it's an art house movie, and like, come on. Like, shut up. And I did see one other guy say, go back and watch the Avengers. It's the same thing. I'm like, it's like, whatever, it's everybody's gonna have their opinions, but like, I think so far it's been favorable. Joe, I didn't see Joe, if you're still there, Joe Ridgely, did you like this cut of the Justice League? I know you've been kind of talking about things here and there, but I'm curious. Alex, you said you liked it. Anybody else out there, let me know. Matter of fact, I'm curious where it would rank on all the DCU movies. I said this in my my post on Facebook. Out of all the ones released after 2013, other than the Joker, because it doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it's the same thing, right? The Joaquin Phoenix Joker. But out of all these movies, we're talking Sam, we're talking Aquaman, Birds of Prey, all those movies that kind of exist within this universe. Where do you think Justice League stands now?
Oh, for me, it's number one.
Really?
Like this. It has definitely gone up to number one. The Flash is in it. So, I'm a sucker for the Flash, and you really gave spotlight to the Flash in a way that, nobody else has.
Mm-hmm.
And so, seeing him traverse time and watching him actually go back in time, Zack Snyder did such an amazing job of really helping you see him recreate the past that's already happened. And him taking each step, and then more and more parts are coming back. The lights are coming back, the streets are coming back. You're seeing all of this, and I essentially, he asked the question, what would it look like if you were to actually run back in time? And I think this is Zack Snyder's answer to it. This is what his closest idea of what time travel would look like.
It was so cool. It was rebuilding behind him. Like, how cool, or ahead of him, or whatever. Really freaking cool. Very happy about seeing the Flash. Let me ask you one question though, Flash fan: Grant Gustin or Ezra Miller?
Oh, I'm gonna have to go with Grant.
Okay.
I think Grant has just absolutely killed it when it comes to Flash. And like I said, Ezra Miller, he's an amazing actor, but he's not the Flash.
Have you ever done a Flash cosplay?
Yeah, I have a whole suit in my storage unit. I was actually going to wear it instead of the Joker today, but I decided to go with the Joker.
Do you I want to see pictures if you got pictures. I choose Grant too. I like to see where Ezra goes with this. Curious to see how the Flash movie is going to be. But Seth, you ranked Justice League as your number one as well, right?
Number two.
Number two. Oh, Man of Steel was number one.
I'm still a big fan of Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember seeing Man of Steel for the first time and seeing Henry as Superman, and I was like, that's the guy. Yeah, that's the guy right there. Like, whoever casts him, you need to give them all the money, because they nailed they hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah. He's got the look, especially as a modern Superman. Where I still like Bryan and Ralph as Superman quite a bit, but okay, let's throw this out there. Reeve, Ralph, or Cavill, or Hochland? Which one out of the four? And Joe, I'm asking you too, and Alex, you too, because Joe says Grant. I agree. Grant Gustin across the board. Man of Steel number one for Joe. So which one do you like best? Hochland? I mean, he's still kind of new, even though we saw him in Supergirl. Cavill, Brandon Routh from Superman Returns and the Infinity War, or Infinity, whatever the hell it was called, Infinite Crisis, or Christopher Reeve.
It's Henry. It's Henry Cavill for me. When I think of Superman, that's who I see.
Yeah, it's gotten to that point for me too. You're gonna say Reeve, aren't you?
Well, I see. I love both so much because they both represent something different. Like Cavill is, I think, physically the most Superman we've ever had on screen, and he's great. And like I understand some of the problems people have with Man of Steel about how it doesn't have that sort of sense of hope and optimism and awe.
But he will.
But and that's one of the things I loved about Christopher Reeve with his performance as Superman, and with the early Superman movies, is they had that feeling from the Superman comics. But so I'm torn. It's more like a tie. I would probably put Hoechlin as last place because I love the Superman and Lois show, and I'm still getting used to him being Superman because like when I first saw him cast for Supergirl, I was like, I don't see it. He doesn't look like Superman to me. And, it's obvious that they have, like, body padding on him to make him look more muscular. He's doing a fantastic job. He's a great actor, hands down. But I don't know, it's like a tie between Reeve and Cavill for number one. My number two would be Routh. And then probably, I don't know if Dean Cain or Hoechlin.
I forgot about Dean Cain. Well, I'll tell you what, Hoechlin's suit, the new suit helps him out so much more. That old suit was... It was weird. It made him look short for some reason. But yeah.
I do have to say though, like just even with the ranking I did of like all the Superman movies, Man of Steel is my number one.
Yeah, so it's mine too. Yeah,
I'm definitely more partial to Cavill, I guess.
Joe says he was born in '76 and believed the man could fly. For nostalgia purposes, Christopher Reeve. I think Christopher Reeve got shortchanged for Superman, even though he got 4 movies. So. I think he probably believed that himself. Even though I release the director's cut of Quest for Peace, please. I want to see the other nuclear. Anyway, this has been a fun conversation. Is there anything else you guys want to go over before we pull the cord on this one?
Yes, there was actually one thing I remembered when I was just outside.
Okay, too late. No.
My actually one of my favorite things about this Justice League movie is the opening credits. I absolutely love the fact that it opens with the end of Batman vs Superman, but from a different perspective.
Yep, just like BVS
did.
Yep.
And the idea of Superman's final like cry just kind of like echoed out across
ringing the bell.
Yeah. Ringing the bell and open and awakening the mother boxes. Like when I watched this last night, like I just from the opening credits, I was like, I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of ringing the bell, DC comic book fans, the bell has been rung for the rest of the Snyderverse, in my opinion. You can't unring the bell now. The Snyder cut rang the bell. And they can't unring it.
Yeah.
I never once hashtag Snyder cut before, but I am definitely saying it now. Like hashtag Snyder cut. Like let's get the rest of this Snyderverse in here. I'm ready for it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Snyderverse.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. I really would love to see more of Snyder's vision. Oh, and I do think that I'd like to see him be the overall Kevin Feige of DC. Why not? He had a vision. They were adhering to the vision up until, people pooped on BVS. And I think this movie, BVS is probably going to be my favorite. I didn't even say what I think that's still going to be my favorite because it's more of a Batman movie, in my opinion. And there's so much comic Batman in that movie. I know he shot people, whatever. But Michael Keaton's Batman stuffed a fucking bomb down a guy's fucking pants and Batman Returns,
That's the hilarious thing about that argument is like we've had like 8 or 9 movies before Batman vs Superman where he's either directly or indirectly killed someone. Yeah. He's had guns in the comics before, like in the 1940s. He's killed people in the comics before. There is no really set definition of Batman because the character has changed with each decade. The Batman from the 50s and 60s is different from the 70s.
These smart people are just going based off the Dark Knight trilogy. That's all they're doing. They're not
Mhm.
basing off of comics. They're basing off those fucking movies. And I got to tell you what, lifelong Batman fan, I do not like those movies. I like Batman Begins,
Yep.
but I'm not a fan of those movies. There's too grounded in reality, and I don't want that in my Batman. Because you couldn't have Bane the right way. Bane was okay, but he wasn't the way he is in the comics. There's no Venom.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I want to see Clayface. You know,
Yes.
I want to see Man at some point. How cool would that be? You know, with CGI the way it is, Clayface could be amazing.
And he could be anybody too.
You know, I want to see all this shit, and I don't. And so they're grounding this next Batman series in reality. Whatever. I want to see the fantastic stuff. I mean, Two-Face is my favorite Batman villain. I want to see a good Two-Face, not some guy who's gonna die because that's what happened in the Dark Knight. He was gonna die anyway because of his scars and his burns. He was gonna die at some point. There's no way anybody can survive with his face half burnt like that. You know. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about the Dark Knight series. I could go on. There's plot holes galore, and it's not as great as everybody says they are. Christian Bale. I hate Christian Bale as Batman. Worst Batman, in my opinion. Worse than George Clooney. George Clooney's fine compared to him. So anyway, sorry. Seth knows I can get on rants about stuff, especially when I'm passionate about it. I remember driving home from The Dark Knight, and I was a 30-minute drive with my wife, and she looks at me as we pull in the driveway. She's like, "You didn't say a word the whole time. Are you okay?" I'm like, "I did not like that movie." I was so hyped for The Dark Knight that I saw it. I was like, Christian Bale's like, "Oh, I read Dark Victory and The Long Halloween to prepare." I'm like, "Oh, good." You know, I was really excited, and I was like, "There's only one fucking scene that looked anything like The Long Halloween." It was with Gordon on the roof with Batman and Harvey Dent, and that was it. And I'm like, "Fuck this movie." You know, I mean, they even had Salvatore Maroni in the goddamn movie, and he didn't pour acid on Harvey Dent's face. He wasn't even responsible for it. It was the Joker movie, which is the only reason I like the movie, is because it's Joker. Anyway, sorry. Stop me when I do that, because I go crazy. Go crazy with this shit. Seth's seen it. Anyway, let's do final thoughts on the Snyder. Seth, Bryan, it's been fun, but we're rolling in on 2 hours, which is really long. So, Bryan, we can throw some final thoughts and tell people where to find you.
Yeah. Okay. So, final thoughts. Justice League, Zack Snyder's verse, absolutely knocked it out of the park. It was so much better than I expected it to be. You know, I tried walking in with no expectations and not really knowing exactly what direction this is going to go, and I'm blown away. The nightmare scenario just made me want this so much more.
Yeah.
You know, seeing that relationship between Batman and Joker, I want so much more of that because it was just so beautifully done. So yeah, I said it before, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. It's, you know, for me, I'm very stingy with the 10 out of 10s. There was a few small things that weren't 100%, but outside of that, you know, like I said, 9 out of 10 for me is probably the best I can rate it. So yeah, find me on YouTube, Comic Breakdown. You can find all my videos. I do cover King in Black series currently. Right now we're going Infinite Frontier. We just finished up Future State with DC Comics. I've been covering indie comics from like Unparalleled Comics and a bunch of other great fun stuff. I actually am going to be covering the Red Knight tomorrow. So yeah, be sure to check us out, Comic Breakdown on YouTube.
Yeah, do it, because I only watch the DC videos, just so you know. I don't care about Marvel. I lost faith in Marvel during Civil War back in 2006 when they killed Captain America. Yeah, so
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I was pissed. I love Captain America. Is my favorite. Well, he and Daredevil are my favorite Marvel guys, and they killed him off like a bitch. You know, he was in handcuffs. He got shot. It's like, come on,
shot right down the stairs.
Yeah. It's like I was like, okay, Marvel. I closed the book. I'm like, okay, and done with Marvel.
Yeah.
So, I read Secret Invasion a few years later, and that was the last thing I read from Marvel. Anyway, Seth, what about you? Final thoughts? And I know where to find you. So do they. Horror Syndicate.
Yeah, you can find me on the Horror Syndicate, and yeah. Final thoughts is like this movie was one that I was anticipating for a while, and I know Ray can attest to this because message in our chat all throughout Thursday, being like, "Why can't it be the end of the day?"
Right.
I was so like time went by slow because I was anticipating the movie, but I fucking loved it right from the beginning. Like I said, right from the opening credits, I knew that I was watching something that was going to be special, and there's something about it, like it felt more high stakes than the theatrical cut, and it was because of not only because of the chapter breaks, but also because of the score from Tom Holkenborg and you know all the intense
goes by.
huh.
You don't like his other name?
You know, I call him Junkie XL, and then I see he's credited in the movie as Tom Holkenborg. So I'm like,
right.
You know, what do I call him? You know, one movie is one thing. He's a great composer, anyway.
Yeah, he is.
But you know, as someone who especially loves my fiction to be high stakes,
yeah,
Justice League was for me. You know, I'm not looking for, you know, a movie that feels safe. And a lot of comic movies do, and that's not like really a slam against them. Like, I love Marvel. I get excited anytime a Marvel movie comes out. You know, I'm a big comic book fan ever since I was a kid. But Justice League was fantastic, and I really want them to restore the Snyderverse. So I'll be pushing that agenda.
We don't want your agenda. No, yeah. I mean, I agree with everything both of you guys. I love the score; was fantastic. It was way better than what they did in the Whedon cut. As Alex actually said, the Zack Snyder Justice League was better than the theatrical version in every way. That's 100% agree with that. I loved it. I love seeing Affleck as Batman, Cavill as Superman, and Gadot, however you say her name, as Wonder Woman. Redemption all around for every character, because even Batman was made to look a fool in the Whedon movie.
Yeah,
you know, Ezra Miller, Ray Fisher, redemption. But even more so, Jared Leto. He made me want to see more of him as Joker. Who would have thought that after what he did in Suicide Squad, and that might have been the director's, you know, direction, and all those stupid tattoos. In my opinion, they were terrible. But like, I never wanted to see him again. And then first when I saw this, holy shit, you know. And then talking to Batman, that was the best Batman Joker interaction ever on film. Yes, I said that. The best. Mm-hmm. I do like the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight, but this was everything. Although I didn't like the reach around comment, but
I do love the pissing contest between Batman and Joker there, though. Like, Joker's bragging about killing Robin, and Batman's bragging about killing Harley Quinn.
Yeah, Harley Quinn's crying in my arm. She wanted me to make sure. Yeah, I love that. That was awesome. And you know, and Zack Snyder, he put that was not in his original plan. He put that in there because there needed to be the Ben Affleck Batman and the Jared Leto Joker to have that interaction at least once. And thank God, because I need to see more of that. This is the Batman Joker combo I want to see. I want to see it. Give me that history. Did you guys notice that in Cyborg's vision, you see the Joker card torn in half? And you remember he says, "This is a truce. I give you this card, or you can tear it in half, and I'll tell you how I killed Robin," or whatever, you know. So in Cyborg's vision, it was ripped in half. So that's very telling. That if Batman rips that in half, that means there's no truce with the Joker. But yeah, I loved it. I loved that. That part made me giddy as a fucking schoolboy. And I was last night when I was going to bed, I was going through my Batman books. What am I going to read next? And I've got trade with Batmans. I'm like, which one am I going to read? I got to find a good Joker story. You know, there's so many good ones. I ended up picking. It's from Batman Confidential. It's Lovers and Madmen. It's really fucking good. It's a different Joker origin. Harley Quinn was a bartender, and that's how he met her. But she was going to try to get into school to be a psychiatrist or whatever. Joker or Batman, Lovers and Madmen, so fucking good. I'm also it made me want to read comics again. I haven't read comics very much in the last year, and this made me like, I got to get back into comics. I got to go get my fucking pool from the store. $150, you know, got that stimmy money, so I should go get it. But yeah, Affleck was definitely the bomb as Batman. Yo, bring his ass back. So I want to thank
100.
my guests here, Bryan from the Comic Breakdown, Seth from the Horror Syndicate. Thanks so much, man. I had a lot of fun talking to you guys. We're gonna do this again.
Definitely. Let me know.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it again. Hey man, I want to see those pictures of the Flash costume, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, I gotta pull them off at Instagram because my other Facebook got deleted, but I'll grab them and I'll send them to you.
Facebook. I love seeing a good cosplay. I love it. And thanks for dressing up.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Joe. Joe, we still need to get you on the show, God damn it. We still need to get you on the show. Maybe when we talk about the next Superman movie, Seth. Right?
Hey, man, I'm free. I'm free tomorrow.
Hey, we've been talking about this for how long now?
Yeah.
You guys remember the time that Superman slept with this chick and then acted like he didn't know who she was, like a pimp? Anyway, thanks again for hanging out. Hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. I really need the subscriptions. I only have 60. This guy over here got 10,000.
Slowly getting there.
Check the Comic Breakdown and check out the Operation Eclipse review. There will be another one coming soon. God, I love comics. You guys have a good evening. We'll see you next time at some point.
Yes, sir.
All right.